welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips. Finally, Reaper Pro Tips is intact. Thank you, Mistim, for the resub on the 29 months. That's insanely awesome. And I am your host, Anne, with disembodied hands, 100 minus 0.0001 Quindy, and then there's a little tiny bit of Justin and John in there, but mostly Quindy. All the cred. But anyway, hi, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Are you all planning Mexican food for dinner? We are going to walk to our local taco truck. That is our plan. It is also Cinco de Overwatch, which is the opener of Overwatch League. So I'm terribly excited because that is my brand of sports ball. But anyway, hello, everybody. Yes, Quindy, I'm just going to keep coming up with infinitely Quindy-centric intros. It's just the way it's going to be. All right. Yeah, I thought about cooking something, but they were like, well, let's go out. But then everybody else will be going out to the standard Mexican restaurants. We figured that it might be pretty safe to just go to our local food truck. So, and I haven't been there. David has been there. Dinner smoothies, dinner supplies. Yay. Howdy, everybody. Yes, your afternoon is not gooey. We hope not. Hi, Julie and Bob. I see green users up there with the dragon face. Sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, we are back. Yes, we are back. After a kind of a wonky week. Sorry that my stream got interrupted on one day and canceled on the next. But we should be back for the foreseeable future. I don't think I have any more disruptions until KublaCon. So if you are out in the West Coast area, especially if you're in the Bay Area, be aware that KublaCon is our local convention in the San Francisco Bay, and it is going to be over the Memorial Day weekend. I am teaching. There may still be a couple of slots in my Choosing Colors class. David is also teaching, but I think his class may be sold out. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm teaching NMM, and I know that class is sold out, and then I'm teaching Choosing Colors, or AKA Color Theory. And then there'll be a lot of other classes, and there's still slots open. So yeah. And there's also a painting competition. So, David and I are judging, I think, Masters with Michael Kleiman. All of us teach at ReaperCon, so you probably know us all. And then there's another team that's going to be judging the Journeyman class. So they do split it in this competition into Masters and Journeyman. So yeah, if you are out in this neck o' the woods, consider coming out. If nothing else, consider coming out to see the entries in the painting competition. Alrighty, getting my brushes limbered up here. We got Kitty Cat kind of blocked in, but we didn't really highlight the white areas, and we didn't really highlight the fur yet. So let me see if I've got my proper oranges here. I believe that, we have highlight orange hanging around, and I was going to add a little extra fiery orangeness to that. So I'm going to add a little explosion orange to bring that up a little bit, I think, because highlight orange is a little bit washed out, and I want that more orange color. And then I'm going to actually bring in an off-white to highlight that. I think I'm going to use Osirian Sand, because it's the yellowest off-white. Other off-whites are kind of creamy, but this one does have a definite yellow slide, so we're going to do that. And we'll use Osirian Sand to highlight the markings on his face as well. All right. Yeah, I'm sad I missed the Reaper party, but we were actually out of town anyway, so it was okay. But I'm glad y'all had fun. Alrighty. Oh, actually, haha, this is funny. Okay, so I did actually keep my recipes previously, but I did not use highlight orange. I used orange brown. So let's actually find the actual color I used. There it is, orange brown. But I did mix it with explosion orange, and I did use Osirian. So there we go. There we go. We now have our fur base. And I used Rusted Anchor to get those darker reddish markings. So now let's get a highlight. We are planning, Palisade Pep, David and I are planning to come to ReaperCon. We have our hotel room. We have our plan. The plan that may get disrupted because we may be getting a puppy 2 weeks before ReaperCon. So David may be flying in ReaperCon. I may be driving to ReaperCon with the puppy and arranging puppy sitting services among my friends while I am there. So that is a thing. That's a definite thing. Oh, good. You got your Syrian Sand. Good. Yeah. So the plan is we'll be at ReaperCon. If we don't get a puppy, then we of course will be at ReaperCon just fine. I have not. I'm yeah. Yeah, it's just a lot of like as far as the puppy at the convention, I will see if the puppy is okay with the convention, but with such a baby dog, it's just overwhelming, right? There's just too many people. So with socialization, you always want to make sure it's a positive experience for the puppy. So I will try, if the puppy is a thing, I will try to bring the puppy in, but we're going to go slow. And if the puppy is like feeling overwhelmed, then I'm just going to probably find somebody and they'll, my ex Zach will probably like sit the puppy for, a good portion of the time. So, yeah, it's a lot for even an adult person, right? So if we want the puppy to be good in crowds of people in the future, then we need to make it a super, super positive experience for the puppy. It's just my thing. A lot of people do socialization incorrectly that way. They think it's just exposing the dog, but actually it's exposing the dog to things in a positive manner. So the dog has a happy memory, and then the dog is ready to tackle that stuff again when it, as throughout its life. So... yeah, so I want my puppy to be good in like crowds of people because, I want to take her to a dog show probably just for fun. And so I want it to be positive. But yes, there may be a puppy. Just be aware. We may have to set up Camp Puppy. There we go, just straightening out my setup here. Yeah, just like socializing your humans, exactly. Well, the puppy will be staying with us probably in the evenings, Palos. I mean, she will be with us for the majority. If I'm down in the, if I'm going to be doing ReaperCon, then we can't leave her in the hotel room, and having her down in all of the big, all of the crazy, is probably a bad idea. So my ex Zach has offered to puppy sit as he misses having dogs. So I'll probably take him up on it. But this may be a moot point. We won't find out for another 4 weeks if our puppy mommy is pregnant. So it may not be a thing after all. We'll find out. Stay tuned. 4 weeks from now, roughly, for the ultrasound. To see if we have little puppy polyps that are growing. I just like the idea of puppy polyps. All right. So let's see here. Let's mix up our base, because remember, whenever we're highlighting or shading fur, you want to have a puddle of your base color already mixed up, because you're going to use that usually to mix your highlights and shadows. This is something that traditional artists do a lot. It essentially kind of gives you a good foundation for making sure that all your highlights and shadows work together instead of just plucking a bottle off the shelf, although certainly the triad system is meant to do this. But normally when you're picking colors, if you're trying to pick a light blue to go with your middle blue and your dark blue to go with your middle blue, you can run into problems if you're choosing from different triads or you're in a different paint line, just because they might use different pigments. And so maybe they don't work so well as a highlight or a shadow for the color you started with. So the way around that is to make sure that you always mix a little bit of your foundational color into your highlights and shadows. And in our case, since we created a color for our orange tabby here, because I wanted him to be a more vibrant orange, we're going to mix up a big puddle of that. It's 3 drops of orange brown, 3 drops of explosion orange. Those are the colors. Orange brown is also a great highlight for orangey leather, by the way. And then 1 drop of Osirian sand. And the 1 drop of Osirian sand is going to bring in this off-white. It's going to lighten it up a little bit, but it's also going to give it better coverage. Adding any color with white in it gives better coverage. And usually if you're just adding a little bit, it's not even going to shift the color that much. Oh, nice. Yay, ladybugs. That's great. Yes, I am not gardening. I am existing this year. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do about herb gardens and things like that. We do have a box of strawberries, but since I moved them earlier in the year, I suspect they will not. Maybe they won't flower this year because I stressed them out when I moved them. They have to settle into their new home. But I did see somebody on my walk yesterday who was growing strawberry plant in a pot, and they had 2 big fat strawberries growing off of it. So you never know. Whoa, with this huge gift sub bomb. Dalker, crazy. Thank you. Wow. Everybody say thank you to Dalker. That was really generous. You are the awesome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome and thank you. Oh, and Daffodweir, your resub came right before that, so I totally missed it. I'm glad I scrolled up. Daffodweir resub at tier 2 for 31 months. Nice. Yeah, that was holy gift subs for sure. Happy Cinco de Mayo. All right, now let us mix a highlight for our cat fur. Since, as you can see, he's got shadow on his back here, but he does not yet have highlights on his fur. And we need to kind of bring up the area around the face to be a little bit lighter. So let us do that. And I'm going to grab just a brushful. Usually I do 2 big brushfuls of my base color, and then I add my highlight color. In this case, we're just going to continue to work with Osirian Sand. I'm going to see if I can get it just a little bit of highlight. I just want a little bit of highlight on this fur. I don't want to go really bleaching out the color. That's pretty good, but I feel like I'm going to test it and see if I need a little bit more. It seems like I need a little bit more. Let's just build a second color and see. That way I've got both. I've got plenty of wells here, so. Oh, hey Pixie, thanks for the raid. Hello everybody, I'm Anne. I work for Reaper Miniatures. I actually have worked there for almost 20 years. In person in the headquarters in Texas for most of that, but now I'm out here on the West Coast and I do Reaper's morning stream, which is all about painting. So if you're interested in mini painting, and if you are like any level pretty much, I can answer any questions. I paint usually at a slightly more advanced level, but I do love answering questions from beginners and intermediate folks. Oh, Warhammer, cool. But some examples of what we've been working on, just so you can see the level we typically paint to. I've got my hair folk here that we just started sculpting the base on yesterday. So, oh, nice. But yes, welcome, welcome. And then Quindy just linked to all of my socials. I also do my own thing. I have a Patreon. That's my my love of my life, pretty much, is my Patreon. Patreon.com/paintingbig. And then I also, if you are new, I have a series on the fundamentals of miniature painting. That's on my YouTube, and that's like the second link up. And those are, of course, are free. They're shorter videos, somewhere between 8 and 20 minutes. And yeah, I just pretty much been going through some of the fundamental stuff to think about if you're starting up in the hobby. Things that I wish I would have known, right? All right, so let's see about these highlight colors and how they work on our kitty cat. We're working in Catfolk Paladin today. That's our base color of the fur as I started with it. And then I've been mixing in a little bit of Osirian Sand, which is a very yellow off-white. It makes sense for orange, right? Because you would highlight orange with yellow. So let us see how light some of this is. I'm actually not going to touch the face much because I've got some white highlights. See, some markings up there. So I don't want to highlight that orange too much, actually, because if I do, I won't get that contrast between the white markings and the orange face. So I'm going to maybe kind of look at the throat here and see if I want to highlight it just a little bit. But I might take that up with an off-white too, since ginger cats can often have a lighter colored underbelly. Yeah, I think that color is going to work. I think that maybe this middle one is a little too close to the base coat. If you can't really see a huge difference, sometimes you want to go a bigger difference here. Very nice. Very nice. Happy anniversary, Dalker. All right, so we did our little stripy markings here on the back of the tail, and in order to have those really stand out, we do need to highlight a little bit. Now, I could just do like kind of a side brush technique here. I'm going to kind of use a dabbing motion to get a little bit of lighter color on top here. Dry brushing, of course, is right out because it'll wipe out all of our markings. So although this texture could be dry brushed, this isn't the best choice for when you're doing a pattern. And I'm mostly just going to dab kind of onto the tops of the fur, like where I can see the little bits of fur. And I'm going to make bands to highlight in between these dark bands. And I'm not really going to highlight the underside of the tail. I'm mostly going to concentrate on the upper side. Don't do anything super amazing for like 5 minutes. Oh, wait. Maybe I should just answer questions. Take questions. But yes. We do mostly, we paint Reaper miniatures on this show, but we do try to mix it up between player characters, monsters, and we even have a bust going right now because Reaper did a bust for ReaperCon last year, so it lets me talk about the techniques for painting a very large, different scale. This is our bust that we've been working on. She's a pirate, in case you can't tell. So we've been working on her. So those highlights are bringing up the markings on the tail pretty well. So we'll keep doing that. And we will go up and we'll get these the facial markings up to an off-white. And we'll also get the eyes done today, I think. And then we'll probably block in the armor. I'm kind of thinking for this one, I'm thinking a definitely bluish silver armor. I want to go with a heavy, like, kind of sky color. Like, I don't want to go blue with the armor, but bluish silver for sure. And then I was thinking purple for the cloth on this Paladin. And we've got the ball of yarn on the shield, of course, which is an adorable touch. Thank you, Julie and Bob. Or actually, this is a Julie, isn't it? Yes, it is a Julie. Thank you, Julie. Craving her cinnamon twist. That's funny. David went for his pastry this morning. He took the day off for Overwatch League. He is working on tax stuff this morning, but yes, he actually took the day off to watch Overwatch League with me, which is pretty funny. I did not take the day off because Overwatch League, starts later in the day, so I can still be on. And also I was like, had to take yesterday off, so. Get this little highlight in there, that little highlight, there we are. So now that brings those rings out really, really well. Yeah, sometimes I ask David. David went out for a pastry. I think he got, I don't know what he got today, actually. He didn't share because he ran off into the other room to do something. But usually we have a really good bakery walking distance from our house. And usually I can resist, but sometimes I ask him to get me a scone because they have amazing orange flavored scones. I love citrus scones. I'm just a sucker for. All right, so let's bring up a little bit. And again, I'm just kind of like almost stippling because the fur has kind of, just a little stipply texture as far as the putty. So I'm just doing the same thing with my brush as I'm just using kind of a dotting motion. That way you don't even have to like hit the strands of the fur perfectly. You just need to replicate the texture with your brush stroke and it'll look great. Like I said, a lot of these areas are too small for dry brushing, so just kind of dabbing a little bit of highlight across them works just fine. I'm going to leave that dark tip on his tail, and I may actually double down on that dark tip later and make it darker. Yeah, I love lemon scones and orange scones. It's my favorite scones. Those are the pastries that I still like, even though I'm gluten-free and low carb. Like every once in a while, I will give in and get a scone. Not this morning, though. I was a good girl this morning. What about the rest of you? What are your favorite baked goods? I see lots of cinnamon twist love here. Orange roll. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just a scone person. I don't know when I became a scone person. I can resist almost all other pastries. I used to just, when I went gluten-free and I absolutely could not have any of them, like when I was strict GF, I would just walk by the box of donuts in the break room at Reaper and just like take this big inhale out of it and think poison, and then I would just walk by. So I'm like immune to donuts. Built my donut immunity. But yeah, scones can still get me. Has to be worth the calories for me. It has to be worth the calories and worth going off diet. Anything with jelly and jam? Yeah. Ooh, ham and cheese croissants. I do love a good croissant. Filled donuts. Yeah, I love Boston cream donuts. That's the one donut that I'm still not completely 100% immune to. The ones with the custard filling and the chocolate frosting. Those things are dangerous. Highlighting his little toes. Just bringing a little bit of a dab in. And they're so tiny, you just need to hit a little bit of a dab of highlight onto them. If you want, when you don't have a whole lot of paint on your brush, you can actually just use the side of your brush to paint over this texture, and you'll get an effect a lot like dry brushing, but more controlled. I always called it side brushing, but... Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of kind of not great croissants in the world, Grey Wolf. I like chocolate-filled croissants and almond-filled croissants because I love marzipan. But yeah, mostly these days I resist. But sometimes there must be. Cinnamon, blueberry, or lemon? Yeah, I am a lemon fan. I love, I was making some gluten-free low-carb lemon muffins. Then it was just like, well, do I really need to be making myself all these muffins? I'm gonna get these cheekbones just a little bit more. Then we will come in and highlight some of this. I feel like I need to darken down like a little bit of the ears here. We were using a color called Rusted Anchor, which is a fast palette color. For those who don't know, fast palettes are Reaper's sets of 6 colors. Usually they're theme related. But there's some great colors in the Fast Palette series, so you do check them out. This is one of them. If you don't have Rusted Anchor, you can use Auburn Shadow from the Red Hair Triad. That's a 9241. But I really like Rusted Anchor because it isn't quite as red, and so if you're looking for more of a shadow for an orange and you don't want to go too red, you'd rather go toward the brown, toward the oxide section, maybe a little bit more natural. Rusted Anchor is a really good color. I forget which fast palette this is in. Can anybody tell me? It's not Gloom and Grave. Is it High Seas Horror? Yeah, I find a good filled croissant gets around the potential dryness, but I'm with you there, Shadow Raven. I get it. You think High Seas? Whipped cream and raspberries. Just go big or go home, Kerniko's like, yeah, this is pretty much just amount of butter, mixed with a little gluten, but let's just also let's fill it full of whipped cream and raspberries. Just, let's just double down. Because why not, right? Why not? If you're already eating a croissant, why not go that one step more? Make it count, man. As long as it's worth the calories. Not High Seas? Oh, High Seas has Kraken ink. Yeah, I don't remember. You'd think it would be a pirate one, right? Because it's Rusted Anchor. 29150. I wish you could search those things. Maybe if we just do a Google search, it'll come up in somebody's marketing. So I'm going to darken down just that bit of the ear that dips into the front here, because the orange was just a little bit too similar to the lighter orange I was using underneath. And I also could bring a little bit of this darker color in there around the muzzle and on top of the muzzle. Don't want to cover up all my orange or I'll lose some of the... Oh, it was ReaperCon 2021 Swag Triad. Oh, so it's not in anything else? Well, that's kind of silly, Reaper. That's really silly. So I'm going to darken down the top of his nose too, because often with animals, not always, there are genetics that will cause the entire muzzle to be light, but often there is a gene that causes a dark stripe down the top of the muzzle. So I'm going to keep that in the kitty cat here. Now I do feel like Kitty Cat needs a little bit of a highlight on the top of that nose, or I need to bring my liner back in. Where's my Rogue Shadow? There it is. Using Rogue Shadow for this because it is a more reddish liner. I really like scones, yeah. Have to go to the product page and look at the back of it. That's really silly. Really silly. Reaper, how are we supposed to find these? Come on. Silly, silly Reaper. I'm just calling my employer silly. I can do that. I'm in California now. Ed won't come by to like smack me around, you know, or anything. And yell at me for like calling Reaper silly. He should know Reaper is silly. I mean, come on. He does Reaper Live, and Reaper Live is one of the silliest shows I've ever seen. Cherry scones. I've never had one of those. I bet a cherry scone with vanilla icing would be really good. Sorry for making everybody hungry this morning. Ah, dear. I was just curious. I'm always curious to ask you guys what your favorite versions of various foods are, because inevitably, like with the cherry scone, I hear about something I've never tried before and then I have to go seek it out. Yeah, scones vary a lot, right? They can be the super dry, dippable scone, which I think is more the British scone. Am I right on that? Or they can be more the American scone, which tends to be a bit softer and more richer, butterier. We are discussing baked goods, Nomadzik. I am just reshading, kind of lining Kitty's little nose here. And I need to put a little highlight on Kitty's little nose because it's not showing up now that I put that dark stripe on the top of the muzzle. So I'm going to grab some white and a little bit of red because he has a pink nose. Maybe I'll use heraldic red. Heraldic red, blood red, something like that. And I can throw a little bit of walnut into it to make it not quite so bright. Hello, Chromatic. How's it going? Yeah, we're working on Kitty's fur. We highlighted the tail stripes, and now I'm going to work on the face, but the nose is kind of blending in since I added that dark auburn stripe down the top of the muzzle. So I want to bring that nose out. So I'm mixing up a little bit of red, pink rather. Going to use 2 drops of pure white, and I'm going to unclog my heraldic red bottle. Oh, okay. Search for fast palette. Thanks. That's why Arquindi is so useful. All right, so I'm going to put just like half a drop of heraldic red in here with a lot of white. Let's go back and bump out here and see. So kind of like that. I just want a little bit because I'm looking for a highlight for this, remember? So I'm going to throw some water into this and mix it up. It's going to be quite pale. Still might not be pale enough though. I'm going to try this as a highlight and see if it works. Pink and orange hate each other, by the way, but on kitty cats, it works. Oh yeah, I've got like Luxardo cherries. Yep, like the best cherries ever, infused in syrup. So I just need to make a scone with Luxardo cherries and then a vanilla icing, which is very easy. And then I will be able to try a cherry scone. That sounds great. Let's do that. Maybe I'll have to make some this weekend. And David will be like, why are you baking scones when you know you're going to eat them all? Maybe I'll have to make them mini scones so that I can eat one without terrible damage to the diet. Oh, you're at a Mexican... I was going to say Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo for everybody who came in since the start. I'm going to put a little tiny highlight right across the top of the nose here. That's really made the nose light. Very light. Light pink nose. Now I feel like I've lost my lining again. I'm going to grab my liner and fix that. Kitty's nose just keeps going back and forth here. It's such a tiny little nose. There. Got a little bit better. Now I feel like I need a little bit more red, though. Having burritos, yeah. All awesome, Pendrake. It was worth taking the time for the house improving. The freezer is in, and now I can go buy the pork shoulder I've been eyeing. They've been on sale. On sale at Sprouts, and so I've been like pork shoulder for like $1.99 a pound, I think. I'm like all over it, but I couldn't fit it in the freezer before. Now I have a freezer to fit it in. So yes, there will be some, and David can finally buy a giant bag of bagels, and we have freezer space. So I always like grumble at him because he's taking up all my my freezer room with his bread pot products, and he grumbles at me because I'm taking up all of his freezer room with my meat products. Yeah, it's on sale right now where I am. I try to shop the sales when I can. And I do love pork shoulder because I have a kick butt carnitas recipe now. So I'm like... And we like to make it for ramen as well. So pork shoulder is good for both of those. I use my Instant Pot to cook it down. There we go. Just a little bit more red at the bottom of the nose. I wanted a little bit more pink. All right, I can see the nose now, and that is what I wanted. So that being the case, let us progress. I need Osirian sand straight up so that I can add some off-white to the facial markings. More on Valender. Yeah, I know, right? He's so well fed. He's so spoiled. Grey Wolf. He knows he's spoiled. Every time I make him something that he absolutely loves, he's like, I am so spoiled. Especially because he was like bachelor living before I came along, right? He didn't quite have, like, he had bachelor fridge. Like, there was definitely beer and condiments, but he would have, like, you know, other things in there. So I couldn't give him total crap. Because he would keep the makings for, he liked to make his own guacamole and stuff. So he was not a complete, like, bachelor fridge when I walked into his life. Yeah, I like to cook. Chromatic. When I went on all my weird diets for my health, I pretty much learned to cook in self-defense. But now I actually enjoy it. I enjoy being able to make anything. Like, if I can find a recipe for it, I can make it. I've gotten better at certain things I could still improve on. I haven't tried to cook a goose again since I messed my last one up. But it's been many years and I've gotten better at poultry, so I feel like I could do it okay this time. Maybe I'll try one during the holidays, the end of this year. But yeah, I can make a killer prime rib. And a good duck. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. And I can bake. So it's worth investing the time and learning, I think. It certainly saves us money. All right, so let's do these highlights. So we've got kitty cat. I want to get just a little bit. I'm going to use some stippling. Just to lighten the area around kitty cat's face. You can see on that side how it got much lighter. I don't want to just paint it solid. It's a little small to do hair brush strokes, but I can kind of just do little dabs. Get his little chin. Have to get the teeths as well. The teeths have got to be bright white. Yeah, I love duck. I've got a recipe that I got off the interwebs a while ago that gives me crispy skin. I also like to just buy duck legs and do confit, quick confit, and duck breasts, and just do those in cast iron. Those are fun. Little teeths. We'll bring out those teeths a little bit more in a moment. A little higher highlight top of the nose, and I want to get those ears. I think I want a little more white in this. Do half and half. Yeah, savory scones are a thing. Pendrake. I think ham is maybe like pancetta would maybe be a good one. Or prosciutto if it was cubed. And cheese. There's definitely cheddar scones. I just always buy the roast. I'm not a big ground meat fan usually. We don't use it in a lot of things. But I totally get it, Twisted Oma. Yep, cheddar, bacon, and herb. That's what I was thinking. Like, except for bacon, I would use pancetta or probably pancetta or prosciutto. I tend to like pancetta. Just fry it a little bit. I use pancetta in my quiche, so. All right, now I'm gonna try to hit some of the little strands of fur here, and I'm gonna concentrate on the outer edge of the ear with this highlight. Yeah, I'm kind of in the whole, if you make a scone, you should eat it within a day or two. Like the cheesy biscuits that we made too. I made Cheddar Bay biscuit knockoffs the other day. And those definitely were at their best the day of, because the cheese just adds a lot of fat to the recipe. They get very soft. There, now our ears are very light. I do want to carry some of my white down here to the throat, so I'm going to kind of stipple again. I'm using the side of my brush with not a lot of paint on it to kind of bring out a little bit of light down here. Make his throat a little bit lighter. There, now we have a little bit of a lighter throat. I like that. Rower. Rower! Yeah, I like biscuits. All right, so we're going to use an off-white. I'm just going to use the same off-white I've been using to highlight the muzzle. Oh, I forgot to do the eyes. Oops. So again, I'm just going to use kind of a stippling stroke. And we have light eyes as well. Putting eye markings around Catfolk, I think, is a great tactic. It really draws attention to the face. It brings out the expression. I'm going to use some off-white to bring up these eyes. Yeah, exactly. It's mince. Mince pie is meat pie. There we go. So we got one eye blocked in, and notice that I'm only filling in at the center of the eyeball. I'm leaving that dark rim all around it. And notice how that makes the eyeball stand out. This is a key tip, and it's not that hard. If you try to line around the eye, it's going to be a lot harder for you than if you just like paint the eye dark and then just fill in the middle with white, or off-white in this case. Hey, to be fair, a plain biscuit is not the same as the orange vanilla cream scones that I get. I am willing to pay a little more for an orange vanilla cream scone than I would for a biscuit. Although, there is a wonderful place down in that we just went to dinner at that has amazing biscuits. And we do always order one. And they charge $3 for their biscuits, but it's worth it. Amazing, amazing biscuits. So again, fill that in. Now we have eyeballs. I want to get those teeth really highlighted now. Nope. Actually, what I've got on, and I don't know how to say your name. Ilan. I'm just going to say Ilan. Ilan JKR. But what I'm using right here are reading glasses. So I have a 3-time magnification reading glasses, and I just use that. Lion. Oh, okay. Lion Joker. Got it. Thank you. Super. I'll remember that. So Lion Joker, I use reading glasses because I find that magnification really messes me up. Like optovisors or magnifying glasses, it's too intrusive. It gets between me and the mini, and like I always hit my brush on any magnifying things. But if it's just reading glasses, it's enough that that'll really help me see details. And my close-in vision also isn't as good as it used to be. So it helps compensate, and I can see all the tiny details this way. The other thing that'll help you, Lion, if you're painting, is I have a lot of light here around me, like a lot. I used to have 100-watt bulbs that I would put on either side of me. Now I've got a big ring light and an LED lamp right here. So it essentially gives me, you can see even on my face, I've got a lot of really good kind of diffused light here. And I find that magnification is great, but making sure you have enough lighting in your painting area is even better. Like I avoided eye strain for all my painting career just by having adequate light before I even switched to using these glasses. Yeah, you can't use magnifying glasses, yeah. Yeah, Optivisor might be the thing for you then, Lion. I know a lot of people who do wear glasses who go to the Optivisors. They aren't too intrusive. They're the bands that go around your head, and then you can put the Optivisor lenses in front of your regular glasses. There are a bunch of different brands of them. Some of them even have built-in lights and stuff. Moonglooms. Do you ever have a problem with Reaper paints that sometimes are little chunks of gunk? Rosy skin every time you reply. Little chunks or pieces that harder paint. If it's an old bottle, you may just need to replace it, Moonglooms. It should not ever have that. If it is a fairly fresh, i.e. like up to, like I'd say if it was 5 years old even, I wouldn't expect that to happen. But if your bottle is very old, if it's like getting up to 8, 9, 10 years, what's happening is just that paint will dry. Like even though the bottles stay good, like there will be a little bit of dried paint. And especially if you're using a pokey tool, then sometimes that dried paint will get down into the mix. And, it shouldn't be common unless it's an older bottle. And if it is really pervasive, like, then I don't know what to tell you. That's really weird. And how little are we talking here? Like, is it like grit? Or is it like bigger chunks? Yeah, good lighting is the number one requirement. I agree with you, Shadow Raven. I think light does a lot. And then any magnification will just assist. But yeah, if it's harder paint, then it's almost always going to be the paint that has dried around the top here that has gotten shoved down into, the aperture. Alrighty, so we have kitty cat. Oh, I forgot the tiny little claws on the feet. Need to get that. Then we can get some pretty green eyes on this guy. Though I should say blue or green. I think green though. What do you guys think? Blue or green for eyes? Huh, that's really weird, Moonglooms. It wasn't a winter shipped paint, was it? Because, like, although I wouldn't think that would happen with freezing, but that just is very odd. Green, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Green was my initial thought. So we're just using the side of the brush here to kind of pull it across the claw and just hit the raised surface. I'm not going all the way up to the foot, so there's still a little dark circle. Notice that little dark? Again, this is the same theory as up here in the eyes. I don't want to have to paint a dark rim around the eye because it's really hard. Down here, I don't want to have to paint a dark rim to line these tiny claws. But I can just paint the claws dark like I did, and then use the brush to just pick them out. Now, I don't really want to do odd colored eyes. Thanks, though, Kodiak. Yeah, that's really odd. I almost would send it in for a replacement Moonglooms. Chartreuse is just a light yellow-green. That's probably what we'll highlight with anyway. Oh, Kitty's coming off the base. Swoosh. But yeah, so this is the much easier way to highlight little stuff like this. Is just to paint it dark and then leave a little bit of that dark showing when you come back in to get those little claws in there. We'll probably do this guy with eyes that are pretty bright. Because when you have a small area and you want the eyes to show up, you want to go with a brighter color. Now, because it's a kitty, we can make almost the whole eye colored. Thanks for the help link there. Yep, email help@reapermini. Because if it's a bad batch, Moonglooms, then it's possible that maybe it wasn't filtered or something. Though that shouldn't happen ever. But just reporting it would be a good thing. Pumpkin cat, yep. Got a little bit out of line with that one. There we go. There we are. Now we have nice little toes. Now we're ready for eyeballs. So the question is, do I have my Naga green over here or did I take it in the other room? Love my Naga green. There it is. This is the perfect. We have cat's eye green also, and it's a slightly lighter and more ochre. But because this is so tiny, I go with the brighter green, I think, for this one. And then I'll add probably lemon yellow to it to get a highlight. And I do probably want to start with a slightly darker green to get a dark rim around the eye. Up. So this is the kind of the case where, you know, you can get some, when you're trying to poke in, this sort of thing where you can accidentally get some crumblies inside your bottle. Although I really have to clean this pokey tool because it is like really, really globbed. So it's like, yeah, look at all that crap that's coming off of it. So just use the edge of your knife, kind of like go over your pokey tool, clean it off, because otherwise a pokey tool gets bigger and bigger and the hole it makes is bigger and bigger, and then your paint, like, you could compromise your dropper and end up not really having a dropper to speak of anymore. Just a hole in the bottle. So I do make a point of cleaning off my pokey tools. That was a lot of paint. Haven't cleaned this pokey tool for a while. When you're applying these to thicker paint too, you just find that you build up paint a lot faster on your pokey tool. Now have a nice shiny pokey tool. Excellent. So I'm excited to start my oil paint, guys. I got a glass palette to try that out. And I've swatched most of my colors. So pretty soon I'll be talking about oil paint. No, not necessarily on this stream, but on my Saturday stream. Although, unfortunately, of course, the model that I picked to try out oil paint on is totally not safe for work, so I can't put it on Twitch. Oops! Let's use, what's good? Either Ancient Oak or, where's my Pine Green? That's Jungle Moss. Could use Jungle Moss, Ancient Oak, but I thought I had a Pine Green. I have Elven Green. That'll be perfect. So Elven Green is a beautiful, beautiful dark green. We'll do that for the dark rim. Yeah, if you wipe it after every use, then you're good. Yeah, normally I try to, but sometimes I'm in a hurry on the stream, and if it's not really soupy paint, I'll just put it down, and so it'll end up drying. As long as you take a little bit of time to, oh god, that needs a bit of shaking. As I try to squeeze it out and see the clear fluid. Yeah, that's that one. Let me shake up my Elven Green a little bit more. Sometimes the greens need a little extra shaking to get back in solution. Yeah, I'm excited to try my oil paint. Be something different and fun and exploratory. But I don't know if it's going to frustrate me because I don't know if I'll be able to do the fine detail that I like. So that's going to be the big challenge for me with oils because I love to do tiny detail. And I don't know if oils are going to do that for me. So we'll see. We will see. All right, so our first thing is we're going to block in this eye with the Elven Green, really dark. Then we're going to go and do exactly what we did with the starting eyeballs here. We're going to go inside that Elven Green and we're going to make another white spot. I don't think anything else is going to be green, actually. I'm going to make the armor kind of a sky, like a blue silver, and I'm going to have the cloth be purple. But I'm thinking the eyes are just an accent, and I don't know. I might make the little clasp here green, but I don't want to get too into the green. I'm not invested in the green. Mostly I want orange, green, purple, and if I have just little touches of green and the rest of it is orange and purple, I think it'll work just fine. So probably just a little gemstone on the cape here and the eyes. And it depends too on how much the green carries. If the green isn't really noticeable, then it's kind of a non-existent color at that point. I don't need to repeat it around the model. All right, let's see. I do need a little bit of Flow Improver mix added to, because I'm doing little stuff here. So I'm going to thin my Elven Green a little bit. Also remember that thinning paint has the effect of making it come off of your brush easier. Even if you don't add extra Flow Improver, thinner paint will come off your brush much easier. So if you want that, thin your paint. Oh, is she? I totally forget things like this. Thanks for the heads up, Trash. I don't do Facebook really. Like, I'm not a Facebooker, and so I miss a lot of friend birthdays. All right, so let's get this green going on here. I'm going to come in from the bottom. I've got my brush with some Elven Green on it. I have unloaded the brush so that I can make a decent point. I'm going to start by just making a dot. And this, honestly, this eye might be so... This eye might just be too little for me to do everything I want to do, but we'll try. So I'm going to fill in most of it with the dark green. But yeah, this may be too small. I may have been better off just going and painting it all light green. I wanted to try to do, because the eye was bigger. The eye is bigger than most other 28 millimeters, so I had hoped I could do the colored iris, but I may not be able to. We'll try, though. We'll try. So I'm blocking a lot and just leave a tiny bit of white at the corner to direct the eye. We'll come and do the other one. So we'll do our best here. We may end up painting over it, though, if it doesn't work. And this is something you should just be ready to do. Like with eyes, it's regular for me to paint over it if I don't like it or have to paint it again. Reloading. And I'll just keep going over the eyes to get, I want him to be looking, he's kind of looking, he's alert, his head is turned a little bit, so I want the eyes positioned correctly. Yeah, he's looking a little bit off like this way, which is what I wanted. So that's pretty good. The eyes look good. I've got just a little bit of white showing. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to put more. Nice, Sabretooth. I'm glad you liked the show. Yeah, we had a couple of days of disruption these last couple of days, but now I should be back and pretty much on until the end of the month when there's a local convention that I might miss a Friday. All right, so now we're going to come back in and we're going to fill in this green, this dark green. And we're going to try to keep it at the rim of the eye. And now I'm going to try to bring the lighter green back in. I liked that dark green, so we'll see how I like this. If I don't like it, I may go back to the dark green mixed with a little bit of Naga. Ah! My paints are all wanting Pokey Tools today. They're all like complaining at me. Maybe they're on strike because they know I got oil paint and now they're like jealous. They're like, hey, what do you think you're doing? Hey. Jealous paint. That's what I'm saying. Making sure that I am seeing comments there. There we go. That was a lot. That was a lot of green that just came out of my paint. All right, hold on. Must get control. Naga Green decided it was going to erupt. It's being very temperamental today. It's very, very temperamental today. So I've got a big splotch. You can see that beautiful color of the Elven Green, and then we've got the Naga, which is a lot brighter, which hopefully will look more green. When I put it down, I am adding some water to it because, again, I want it to come off my brush. Master Series paint does have flow improver in every single batch, so remember that you don't have to add extra flow improver. Just if you feel like you need a little extra flow. So for tiny fine details, I will often do it depending on the color. Like with the Elven Green, I knew it was transparent. And for that reason, I didn't want to add a bunch of water to it. So I decided to just add one drop of water that was heavily mixed with flow improver. I keep mixes around. All right. I feel like I missed a little bit of that edge, but we'll find out. I'm going to need to put on a couple of... Yeah, that's definitely green. At least the green is carrying. I feel like the dark green might have been a little more successful. I'm going to bring in a little more of the dark green along the top of the eye. Yeah, it did corrupt the gray paper, you're right. Yeah, it's because I'm still working, so give me a second. The dark green just is much more like a 28 millimeter. Like this is the problem, guys, with doing colored irises on 28 mil. Even with a model like this that has big eyes, the eye tends to look crowded and it doesn't like read correctly. And this is the issue. That's why I tell people, no, don't bother. Don't do it. Save your colored irises for your monsters or your 54 millimeter because it is difficult to make it work. Oh, sorry. Trying to line that. I'm going to try to bring a little bit of my dark in. So I lost a little bit of my edge, so I am going to bring in a little more dark. Painting the dark green over the bright green a little bit. I do need a little bit more white at the corner. So when you are trying to put a tiny touch of white in at the corner of eyes, using pure white can be a good idea. On most 28 millimeter eyes, I don't use pure white because it's just too harsh and it tends to look like a cartoon character. But when you have a tiny eye or a tiny corner of an eye that you really need to stand out, then pure white is your go-to. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to try to work with these eyes and see what I can do with them. Because I feel like if we're going to do this color, we need to do a bit more pop. And if not, I'm just going to fill them in with the dark green and be done. So I want to re-emphasize my white here at the corner of the eye. And I don't know if this white is strong enough. We're about to find out. So if I want those little edges, and if I don't find the paint is not coming off my brush, it's because my brush is too dry. I need to reload. Either your paint is too thick or your brush is too dry. Since I thinned the paint down a lot here, it's definitely dry brush. All right, that's coming along. Okay, so now we've got those little bits. I wonder how close I can get. Hold on. So we've got like that. Now you can see what I've done a lot better. So they're not terrible, but I do feel like I lost a little bit of dark over on this side. It's very hard to keep in frame when I get this close, so I'm not going to stay here for very long, but I'm going to try to adjust the dark rim on the other side of the eye. And now you can see the little highlight on the top of the nose, which is a little bit too pink, or too light maybe, but I can glaze over the top of it. I can hear David in the other room playing WoW. He's like, it's a day off, and I don't have to watch Overwatch with Anne yet, so... So funny. All right, so let's see here. I just realized I wanted to adjust the nose just a tiny bit. Let's see if I could buff that little nose a little. There we go. Now it's pinker. Now let's get our dark and try to outline this inner corner of this eye. The problem with a lot of this is that a lot of our dark colors are a little bit translucent, and that's just the nature of the pigment. I recently saw a post on my Discord with someone who had tried a different paint line and then was, you know, kind of disappointed that the paints didn't have better coverage. And I had to point out that although you can do a certain amount with bases and stuff, the pigments do control a lot of the color. And so if a green doesn't cover in one line, it's likely not going to cover in the other because that's just the nature of the beast. So always remember that if you want better coverage, just add a tiny bit of pure white to your colors. It won't change the color very much, especially after it dries, but it will give you better coverage. Okay, I'm going to darken down the interior here and knock out a bunch of that highlight I just put in, but I just want a tiny bit. I like this eye a little bit better than this eye. I think it's because I need a little bit of a rounder shape. Knock out that. There, that's better. And I feel like I've got too much white here. So I'm going to come in and tackle that. So when I want my eyes to be perfect, like I sit there, you should always thin. If your paint is always globby or dry, then thin it more. And if you have hands that shake a lot, I am directly resting mine on the desk. Keeping mine on the desk here, just for while I'm painting this tiny little thing, limits the amount of shake because they're just like flat on this desk. So I'm letting their weight rest on the desk just for this. It's not good posture for a lot of painting, but for just this, it'll anchor both hands very firmly on this smooth surface. Painting larger models is also a good answer, Inara. Thanks for that. You are correct. That's why a lot of painters I know who are older gravitate toward bigger models, myself included, although my reasoning is also just that I really enjoy what I can do on big models. So I'm going to come in here and shrink that white a little bit more. Now I like that a little better. Now I did get this big dark stripe down the one side of this eye and I don't like it, so I am going to change it. So yeah, going back and forth to get your eyes right where you want them. And when you're using thin paint like I am, then you will find that you can go back and forth an awful lot. Oh, that eye got hugely washed out. That got a little bit of white on my brush, and that eye got very, very bright. But that's okay. I can change it. But yeah, with thin paint, I could sit here and work on these eyes. I could probably put 12 or 20 coats on them before I started to maybe build up a little paint. And it would all depend on just how much paint I'm putting on the eye. Alright, I feel like this eye is still better. This eye, I lost a bit of that edge there. And I also lightened the eye, so I'm going to darken it just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if your paint is always too thick, then the answer is to start using a well palette like this and add 1 extra drop of water. Look at your ratios. Watch my NSP, my thinning MSP paint video that is free on Reaper's YouTube. To like understand the ratios you should be looking for. I'm going to mix a slightly darker version of Naga by mixing this Elven green with the Naga green. Just a slightly different version. I think we'll get there. We just have to keep working on it. There we go. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to fix a thicker paint problem if you work with a well palette, because you will be able to, you might need to use bigger paint puddles. Like you might need to use like 6 or 8 drops of paint while you're getting used to it. Or you could try a wet palette, though if you're not very good with paint consistency, you may find that frustrating. Your mileage may vary. All right, so now I've got that in. That's back in, but it's not nearly as bad as it was, and I like it a little better. But yeah, if I really like a model, I will spend a very long time fine-tuning eyes. Until there we go. Now I like both eyes. Now I've got green. They definitely show up as green. Now I want to put in a pupil. For that I want walnut. for sure. And then I'm going to put a highlight in because I'm crazy. So walnut, because it's really dark even when it's thinned. And just like I said just a moment ago, if you want the paint, if the paint is having trouble coming off of your brush, then probably it's not thin enough, or it's dried on your brush. You don't have enough on your brush. So if your paint is really thin, but it's not coming off your brush, then just reload your brush. If your paint is thicker and it's not coming off your brush, you probably need to thin it a little more. And the great thing about Walnut Brown, which is 9136 in Reaper, is that you can thin this actually quite a bit and it will still have great coverage. So for things like pupils, where you need the paint to be thin enough to come off your brush, but you also need it to be really dark and stay really dark and have good coverage, walnut is really useful. So I'm just thinning it 4:1. That's probably going to be thin enough to get it to come off of my brush well. Now I need the fine motor control at this point. All right. I could switch to a smaller brush for this as well. That's totally fair. Do I have a smaller brush currently on my plate? I do. I have a 000 Da Vinci. Let's do that. Let's get out tiny brush. Now, my Da Vinci Maestro, my big one, is so broken in that really its tip is pretty well able to do anything at this point. But I do have tiny brush, so tiny brush can come in useful. Always if you're using a small brush like this is a 000. Let me put you up, show you the difference here real quick. This is the Da Vinci 000 beside the Da Vinci 1. They're the same series. You can see the big size difference. But when you're using a little brush like this, load it up with water. You can see how wet it is. Then squeeze it out real lightly. But you actually want a fair amount of fluid to stay in those bristles because it's going to help keep the paint wet that you load into it. You don't want so much water that it thins the paint that you put into it, but you want these bristles to be damp. Because otherwise, when you're using little brushes, the paint dries out in them, right? You've all had this experience. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of water off. You can see the water that came off there. This is probably pretty good. If it's holding a great tip like this, you're good. Then go in and load up your brush. And the water that is in the bristles behind it will keep it wet while you do your fine detail. Come up from underneath. You want to use the eyelid to stop your brush. Very slight. Very slight. I'm going to bring in a highlight and it'll show up better. The problem is we've got that dark green toward the top of the eye, so it's kind of absorbing it into there. Little bit. There we go. All right, now I want a highlight. So we're going to mix some of our Naga green with a little bit of one of my favorite colors, lemon yellow 9009. And then we're going to highlight that green iris a little bit. This, of course, takes crazy motor control. Like I said, often I consider this a waste on 28 millimeters because it's really hard to get it to work. But if you are working with lighter colors and brighter colors, when I mix the Naga green with the lemon yellow, I get that chartreuse color. So anybody who joked about chartreuse earlier, well, now you can eat your joke because it's a color that I use often to highlight green eyes. There we go. It's a good color. It's a nice spring green. I'm going to add some water because, again, I want it to come off my brush really easily. There is a fair amount of white in lemon yellow. This will help us get coverage. Very few people are like really great at it, so don't worry about it, Haunted Folly. The more you paint, the better you get, because your brush control will just get better, and you'll experiment more. You'll get, kind of the colors that you like. You'll get to understand them better. Just keep painting. There's also a lot of awesome information now. Reaper Metallics. I honestly, when I do it Haunted Folly, when I use our metallics, I do 5 or 6 drops of metallic, and then I just get one brush full of water and put it in, and that's it. I do find that I want them to be thinner, but I don't want them to be too thin. And so 4-to-1 is too much. 5-to-1 is even marginal. I'm more likely to do like 6 drops of metallic to 1. We've done metallics on... We've done the metallics on various models over the years. Like the Dark Dwarf Smiter is probably one that I did a lot on. We also did... I don't know if I was talking as much about the consistency of the metallics, though, because this guy was all shaded metallics. And we were more concerned with weathering on him with his metallics. So... I'm not sure that his video would have been useful. But when I did the Dark Dwarf Smiter, we did, I don't have him anymore. I gave him to Ron. I talked about metallics. Yeah, thanks. It's just straight up, it's, if you go watch the Bronze Golem videos, you can see how I did it, Haunted Folly. Chrome is, okay, so understand that chrome isn't a color, it's a reflection. Chrome, I mean, I would use the same thing. I use the same thing for chrome that I use for silver. I use cloudy gray with blue in it. But there's a lot of them. That's the thing, Haunted Folly. We do, like, we paint models to completion. So if you go and search for, like, Bronze Golem, Bones 5 Bronze Golem, you'll get a bunch of videos of that Bronze Golem. You probably want to look back at the beginning of the series, but we painted that whole thing on stream. So essentially, there are a lot of videos for it. And I don't remember which ones talk about the metallics, but it was one of the first things we did was to block in metallics. So it's probably in the first 3 or 4 videos of there, we talk a lot about metallics. But in general, the other thing to remember is to always put down a layer of opaque paint underneath your metallics. So for that Bronze Golem, I actually undercoated with walnut brown, with blackened brown and ancient oak, I think, were the 2 colors I used. But I put down a solid layer of those dark colors, and then I put the bronze metallic over the top. But yeah, you'll find a lot of different models on Reaper YouTube, and they'll all be in a series. Like, you can easily, like, just look for all of a Dark Dwarf Smiter or all of... Yeah, they're not... That's because we are heading for, get this, Haunted Folly, we are headed for our 500th episode. So, there we go. Quindy gave you the start. Yeah, but hello, Real Kiko Baloney. Thank you for the raid. No, not 500 episodes for the Bronze Golem, Haunted Folly. 500 episodes for our total. But what that means is that poor Quindy, who doesn't get paid for helping us, poor Quindy cannot sit and put all of them in playlists. So it's 500 episodes of Pro Tips, and our 500th episode, I think, is going to be the 23rd or 24th. And we're going to do fun giveaways. We're going to give away gift certificates. So, oh, okay. Dungeons and Dragons. Awesome. Yeah, we're working on our Catfolk Paladin today. We're just doing the eyeballs. Yeah. Sorry about... We understand that a playlist would be a huge quality of life improvement, especially when you're trying to, like, just kind of look for one model. I think probably, like, episode 2 or 3, maybe 4 would be the putting on the metallics, talking more about the metallics. But like I said, we did a lot on the Dark Dwarf Smiter too. So if you look at him up, then he was all metallics as well. But always undercoat with a opaque paint first. A darker opaque paint. So for like steel, I use dark gray. I use cloudy gray 9089. And for gold, I tend to use like russet brown 9199. I'll choose a very high coverage color, and then you put the metallic over the top. It is much better. Enables you to thin it a little bit more and still get a solid coat. Oh, you finished painting a mimic. Cool. We love mimics here. We love them. All right, so I was about to try to do the impossible eyes. We've been painting impossible eyes here. We actually do have like the outer rim, the inner green, a little bit of a pupil, and now I was going to put in a tiny highlight of light green. This is not recommended for the faint of heart, as I could mess up the entire eye at this point if I don't get my brushstroke right. So I don't know how many gift codes we'll be giving out, but we will be giving out gift codes. So I've got to see how this is going to work. Little bit. Just going real gentle. And if I go quiet when I'm painting, it's because when you do fine detail like this, one of the best tips you can do is to take the old shooting or pool playing or dart throwing tip and always exhale and hold your breath. Don't ever suck in your breath and hold it when you're doing fine detail. You will absolutely shake. Your body tenses up when you do that, whereas when you're exhaling, you're relaxing. So essentially, I will wait and I will exhale and then I will paint the detail. So if you notice I go quiet, which I almost never am on this stream, that's because I am trying to not screw up the eyeball. There we go. Just a little bit of hint, but it helps keep a little bit of the light in the eye. Now this eyeball. You don't even have to do it in through the nose. The only important part is that you paint on the exhale, and that if you're going to hold your breath, you hold it at the end, not the beginning. Those are the only important parts. Oh, a little bit of a mess. A little bit of a miss there. And even with, again, I have to moisten up my brush because I'm having trouble with the paint coming off of it. So once again, with these little brushes, you got to put a bunch of water in it. Just kind of squeeze it out with your fingertips. You still see the glint of water in that brush. Then load it. So you get that green. Then unload it so that you can have it make a super fine tip. Then paint with it. We're getting there. But since our paint is on a tiny brush, it is, you can see that lighter rim coming in though. There. You can see the pupil, you can see the iris. Yeah, okay. Have fun, Twisted Oma. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hanging out with us. Now I do need to I got a little heavy on the shadow up here on top of the eye, so I'm going to actually bring some highlight back in from the other direction and trim that eye a little bit. There we go. That's better. It's easy to get a little, because you're coming in from underneath, it's easy to get a little bit heavy and maybe impinge on your the top eyelid. Rower. And now, if we really want to be crazy, now we have to add the white reflection, right? That bright white reflection that we can get in the eye. And again, with most 28mm eyes, they're way too small for this. This has very large eyes because of kitty cat. So I can try to do the catch light. Again, this is highly hazardous because I can screw up the entire model or the entire eyeball doing it. In fact, I think I'm going to re-wet my brush before I even try it. Re-wet, squeeze out water. I think I want just a little bit more white in my mix too. The thing about doing a catch light is you need it to be strong out the gate. And so I want it to be pretty solid. So I'm going to add another drop of water because I thinned this white down pretty well. Where is my mixing brush? There it is. I would avoid doing the catch light, but honestly, it makes the eye look so much better. And I know this, so I must try. Have fun, Shadow Raven. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo. No, the Pokey tool will be a terrible, terrible tool for this Pendrake. A non-flexible tip and a tip that you cannot pre-wet to any extent, really, gives you no control whatsoever. Never, ever, ever with the toothpick tool or the, you know, or the poke tool or whatever. It's like, maybe it works for you once, but you have no control over it. Like, you've got no control about that paint. It's already drying on the tip of the tool as you're moving it toward the eye. I would never, ever endorse a non-flexible, non-able to be control moistened, you know. There's a reason people use paintbrushes when they can. Yes, there's the one guy who does great art with toothpick painting, but, you know, he's like the exception. Super, super rare exception. And when I was a baby painter, I tried that stuff just along with everybody else. But I'll tell you, having tried it with that type of tool and having tried it with an actual brush, like, it just, yeah. No, if I mess up, I'll just repaint it. Like, this is the thing. If you, once you've painted it one time, you can repaint it. So don't freak out too much. Oh, that's a tiny, tiny catch light. Oh my gosh, I can't even really see that. But I nailed it right on the pupil. Crap, I don't really want to try to redo it. Ah, dear. Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I did a couple of videos at Adepticon Valendar. Leave it alone. Don't do it. Don't do it, Anne. But I could do it better. But yeah, I mean, Pendrake, thanks for bringing up that idea because a lot of people do try it, and it's because like surface tension, like on a when you don't have all those hairs, like you've just got a plain surface, like the surface tension break is going to be pretty uncontrollable off of this. Plus, look at the comparison, right? Okay, here's my pin, given it's got paint on it, so it could be a little thinner. But look at the brush. Like, how much finer can you get, right? All right. I nailed that tiny little highlight, though now I want to do it better. This always is my problem. Oh, I managed that, but wait. There we go, better. Okay, next. Now you can see the light. Next. Oh, links are not allowed. Haunted. Quindy doesn't. We've got our links turned off so that we don't get spammers. A little bit of light. That's a lot of light. So he's better on this side than he is on this side. I can touch that up just a little. cool. If you're actually, you know what, Haunted Folly, the place to put that is in Reaper's Discord. If you're not in, join. We've got the Reaper Challenge League and stuff in there if you're trying to get motivated to paint more and stuff like that. But I'm sure people would really appreciate that playlist, and you can easily link in the Discord. That would be great, because that's certainly very useful. I think putting it in the Discord is the best answer. All right, the reason that it looks like it's a lot of bright is that the white is running into that light green. I can see the difference in person, but not on here. So I'm grabbing some of my Elven Green and trying to blend it in. 1 second. This is going to take finesse. But you know what? I live for this kind of crap. I love trying to make it work. So I managed to interrupt the white to green. But now I need to re-establish the highlight a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, this is me too, Big Apple, and I'm like a freaking pro. So don't feel like, the message here, guys, is never feel bad if it takes you a lot of back and forth to get the eyes right. It takes me a lot of back and forth to get the eyes right. There we go. Big, bright-eyed kitty cat. Big, bright-eyed kitty cat. Whew. Good question, guys. What's the best channel on the Reaper Discord to link that playlist in? Those of you who have spent a lot of time in the Reaper Discord, and I know you're out there. It's really useful because it is one of the bigger models we've painted, so. We are waiting for help. Resources. Oh, that's good. Yeah, resources is good. We can always move it. A mod can always move it. Oh, okay, cool. That's true. We could look you up on the YouTubes. All right. Now, when we move out, the eyes still look good. This is the test. Your eyes should not only look good when you get really close with magnification, they should still look good when you move out. And I think we've got really nice eyes on this kitty. Flag moderator. Says the moderator. So there we are. That's pretty cool. Actually, I do think I want a little highlight on the top of the nose, though. I am annoyed at myself for the dark stripe down the top of the nose didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to come back in with a highlight. Make the little nose show up a little bit better. Sometimes you do something you think it's going to be good, but then the fact that this kitty has armor on his head makes it hard to really separate the nose then. So I'm going to come in and bring it back lighter. There, I like that better. There, now his face shows up a lot better. He's got a great face. Julie, good job. Look at this. Like, if this sculpt wasn't so awesome, guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Yeah. Although the moderators on Reapers are, often Reaper employees, Haunted Folly, so you're pretty good. Yeah, our mods are awesome. Generally, our community is awesome. So look at that. Look at that, guys. Pretty kitty. Who's got a pretty kitty? We do. If you didn't know, everybody who's in the chat, some new people might not, but green users there who just responded is Julie Guthrie, who actually sculpted this model. Jay Guthrie, and she and her partner Bob Rodolfi are there in the chat for us, answering questions whenever I try to fumble through some green work. And generally, like, you know, being awesome. So, yes. Alrighty, well, it is 11 after, so it is time for me to head out. But, hey, guys, yay, Catfolk Paladin. I really like how these, I love the kitty's face now. I think that this is going to be a great model. I'm feeling good about this model. We can do a lot of non-metallic metal. Going to do a kind of a silvery, like a bluish silver kind of metal, I think, and then do purple for the cloth. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. I can't wait. So yes, thank you, all you new people who came in today. Like, welcome. I hope you come back. We do a different model every day. We have a 6-model rotation, so we slowly paint through everything. Our next model to work on for tomorrow, Friday, will be Madame Delia. So we got her little happy chubby face and hair done. But now we got to really probably work on her reds and her creams, and I have to start thinking about what kind of freehand I want to do. I also have a bit of the, I know I've got a concept for the ostrich feather here, so. Oh, good. Hey, it's a Justin. Woohoo! All right. Yeah, sorry. I sucked up a lot of time today. Awesome. Yay, we're good to go. Okay, guys, so our 500th episode is coming up, and we'll talk more about that in the coming streams. Be aware, it'll be fun and celebrational, and there will be gift codes. So yes. Alrighty. It is a while, Justin. All right. Thank you so much. So we'll be working on the lady here tomorrow, probably bringing her red up to a really nice color and talking about freehand. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Stick around for our next stream, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Everybody enjoy your Cinco de Mayo.